Hey YouTube, this is graphic designer Roberto Blake, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how, as a graphic designer, you can approach and prepare your portfolio work in the year 2013 and how portfolios have changed since years and years ago, 10 years, 5 years back, etc., due to changes in technology, changes in expectations with regard to presentation, and just changes in terms of what is expected from graphic designers today. So let's cover some of the obvious things. Today, it goes without saying that you have to have an online portfolio of some kind. It also helps if you already have some type of online presence. But a big question a lot of designers have is, well, what does that mean, and how is that different from my print portfolio? I'm going to go ahead and talk about some things that I know you were told in design school. Some of them I'm actually going to have to contradict. First of all, in graphic design school, if you were told what I was told, you were told that you need to present only 10 or 12 pieces. This is not universally true, and it also can be detrimental to you, and I'll explain why it's told to you in the first place, and then why I have to somewhat correct that. Now, it's told to you because, in general, art directors and creative directors are very busy people, and they also are so experienced and have seen so many things, and their expectations are framed in a specific way that they will know within the first couple of pieces if they want to continue moving forward with you or not. Now, that being said, you do have to impress them with your first few pieces immediately, but there comes a point where if it only whet their appetite, or if they have something specific in mind that they would like you to do, and being you're not a mind reader, it can be detrimental because you might have missed the opportunity to reinforce their feeling, because it might be that there was one or two particular pieces that you did something with that started to pique their interest, and you don't have anything else consistent to go with that to show that that wasn't a fluke. So there can be that part of it. The other thing is, if the nature of the job is specific to a type of area of design, and because you're trying to show a well-rounded portfolio, you only have a few samples, you only have a few samples of this, a few samples of that, etc., in a well-rounded portfolio, that makes some sense. But if it's a specific job, let's say web design, you might need to have a lot more samples of various different components of that. For example, if you are applying for a position that deals in web design, it's not going to be enough to just show 4 or 5 or 6 websites and different things for that, because web design is more than just the actual websites, believe it or not. Web design could also mean that they want to see if you can do banner advertisements and do banner ad campaigns. They may want to see if you can not only do those, but do different formats for them in terms of not just the static ones, but also animated ones as well. So you might have to have a sampling of static banners, animated banners, and websites on top of that. And then there are different types of websites. There's websites, there's actual websites that are built on content management systems, websites that you coded by hand in pure HTML, websites that might have actually had web development or interactive components, and there are also mobile websites. And mobile websites come in the flavor of standalone mobile websites, web applications, or responsive web design in terms of a website that scales to fit whatever media it's on. So you can see how involved this is, and that it's not just showing, one or two things. It's actually pretty involved, because the expectation is going to be that you at least have some knowledge of all of this, because let's be realistic. Someone in a hiring position wants to pay you the one check to do as much work as possible. So while it sounds great to be a specialist and you should have a specialty, being well-rounded and being able to demonstrate how well-rounded and all the capabilities you have gives you an advantage in the fact that this person is making a monetary decision, not just a creative decision. They actually have to think about you as an investment and also as a risk, and the fact that if they put you on the team, that's a slot they're taking away from someone else. How much work can they fill by filling this slot with you? That's the important question. That's the question in terms of from an investment side of it, or from a risk assessment side, that someone in the hiring chair is going to be making. And that may or may not have been communicated to you. So it's more than just the presentation of, okay, well, don't bore them, or they'll know what they're looking for and they'll know if they see it in the 5 or 10 pieces. I mean, sure, But at the end of the day, there is an advantage to be held in terms of volume if it's done correctly and if there's enough diversity. But let's move on, and that was a specific example with web design. Let's go back to more of graphic design and presentation in general without any regard for what field you're in. As a graphic designer, without any regard for what your specialty is, you'll usually have a print portfolio of some kind. Now, in most cases, your print portfolio will probably be one of these. This is the traditional 8.5 by 11 art portfolio. And you'll have a couple of pieces in it, and you'll be able to interchange those out of the sleeves. This is just what my very old print portfolio looks like back when I was mostly doing freelance work and self-initiated work, and it just has different things that you've probably seen on my website before. So one of the things that if you're a student you'll be tempted to do is use a lot of your school projects. Now, if you went to something like the Art Institute or FIT or School of Visual Arts, then your portfolio and your student work may actually consist of some mock campaigns or some work like that that actually simulates a actual piece of client work and that may be passable as client work. But aside from that, I've been actually talking to a lot of people, and instead of student or assigned work, they prefer to review self-initiated work. They want to see what you'll do creatively without someone specifically giving you guidance or instructions, because in truth, when they assign you a project, they're going to give you a lot of creative control in most cases, and they have a goal that they want you to reach. They're not going to tell you how to get there. They're not going to tell you what techniques to use. They're not going to give you but the most minimal of constraints and see what you do and then correct you afterward or dismiss you outrightly. So it's important for you, one, to explore your own creativity, but it's also good to showcase what you would do and what represents your best work for you inside your portfolio, because it's an honest expression of who you are, what your capabilities are, what you're comfortable doing, and what you like to do. Your portfolio should actually be full of the work that you want to get and that you want to work on. If you work on what you think will sells, you'll only be doing work that sells, and that'll make you feel like a sellout at the end of the day. If you want to do work that you'll enjoy and be proud of and be passionate about, then put that type of work in your portfolio. Now, let's talk about presentation formats. We've talked about the fact that you're going to be expected to have a web portfolio, but you need to be capable of presenting at any time, and you won't always have your book on you, and you won't always be able to fire up a laptop. So what do? What you can do is you can go ahead and you can make sure that your website is responsive, so that you can pull out your mobile phone and you can showcase your work in a true elevator pitch right then and there with your phone, because the odds are you will have your phone on you. But in some cases, you won't have a good connection, or maybe the site is down, what have you, and that'll be a disaster. To avoid that, I also recommend putting your work in the image gallery of whatever your phone is, whether it be Android or iPhone or what have you, and you'll be able to present your work in that way too, and it won't be a problem. So that's what you should do in terms of having the ability to pitch at any time and present your work and put your best foot forward at any time. I also recommend that you have a tablet and work in much the same way with this, and a tablet actually can be much better for you in some cases than a standard print book presentation-wise, and it gives you some options. Especially if you have web or interactive elements and components, it gives you the ability to showcase those, because if you just have your print book on you, you can't show off the websites or the motion graphics or whatever else you might have done the same way. It doesn't translate. But at least if you have the multimedia components that are easy to use instead of a laptop, like a tablet or a phone or a smart tab — I refuse to call those things phablets, but whatever — then you at least have the ability to showcase something that looks well in print, web, any form of digital, motion, animation, etc. So you don't have real limitations and constraints when you use something like a smartphone or a tablet. So let's go down the list of some of your presentation materials. You have to have a website. That website needs to be mobile in some way, whether that is that you have a mobile version of it or you have a responsive web design. In terms of your mobile portfolio, you also need to go ahead and have it actually on your phone. Not just the gallery on your phone, but you should probably go ahead and have a PDF that you can send from your phone as an email attachment in real time when you're talking to someone. So you need that. Obviously, you'll want to have a business card for yourself so that they can go to your website and they can look over your work, contact you via email, request more of your work in your portfolio. You'll want to have your print book on you when you can, and you'll also want to have some type of laptop possibly to do a sit-down presentation on a larger screen or stream to a big screen TV if you have an HDMI cable, etc. So those are the things that you need to have in order to be able to present and to be able to sell yourself. Let's talk a little bit more about what your website should be like. You should keep your website as simple and clean as you can. Always keep the ability to contact you somewhere on your website, whether it's on a sidebar, the header, or the footer. Be consistent and have it on every single page of the website. You also should not hold yourself to the same constraints that you might in a print portfolio with regard to your website. It's the web. You have unlimited capacity. Showcase all your work, but more importantly, categorize your work. Please categorize your work, because what people will want to do is they'll want to look at you for the opportunity that they want to hire you for. And if you have all this wonderful work but it's not categorized, but they want a specific thing from you, you need to make it easy for them to just get to samples of only that type of work so that they can isolate it and make the decision that they need to make. Instead of forcing them to look at everything and sort through them themselves, it's like giving them a big stack of paper and saying, here. No, you don't want to do that. Categorize your work, make it easy for people to find what they need to find to make an evaluation and make a business decision about you. Let's talk about that with regard to different print portfolios as well. Yes, have a single, well-rounded, standalone print portfolio. I recommend not only having more than 10 or 12 pieces, but instead of showcasing your pieces on just, one piece per page, I recommend possibly going to a magazine format with your print portfolio. And here's why. If you looked at magazines incorporate almost every single skill of the graphic design range when you think about it. So it's a great presentation format for presenting your skills and demonstrating that you might be a decent writer as well and be capable of doing more than just creating pretty pictures. So there is that advantage to the format. It also allows you to do some things that are just more creative and show that, hey, maybe you can put an interesting background to these things, maybe you can crop and compose them in an interesting way, etc. So it's not just you showcasing your work, but it's also showing that you put some thought and creativity into the presentation itself. So that could give you an advantage that someone else may not be utilizing, and it can really show your stuff. Okay, let's dip back over to websites really quickly. If you don't have a website and a domain of your own, a .com, what have you, there are a lot of great online options for you to promote your work. You can utilize Behance.net, for example, which if you have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, you actually get a free version of the Pro site for Behance, which has some more options in terms of presentation and a professional look. So that might be something that makes the value of Creative Cloud better for you, or an additional fit, or a bonus, or what have you. Also, if you have a Creative Cloud membership, you can utilize Adobe Business Catalyst to host your website, and there you can make whatever website you want using Dreamweaver, hand coding in some other way, or using Adobe Muse, and you can present your site that way. That's it for this tutorial on ways that you can improve and showcase your portfolios, how to approach portfolios as graphic designers in the modern era now in 2013. I've talked about how you can go ahead and produce a mobile portfolio, multiple online digital portfolios easily, the advantages of having a print portfolio still, and the fact that you need to be well-rounded with it instead of showing the smallest sampling of work that you have. We've covered the use of tablets. So I hope I've answered most of the questions that many of you have, whether you're an old or new designer and wondering how you can best showcase your talent currently. I just hope that this video had some helpful information for you. You can always feel free to contact me through my YouTube channel or through email. I'd be happy to talk with you, even review your portfolio, discuss some ideas, throw some stuff up on a whiteboard and just see what sticks. We can hash it out. I'm always happy to help another creative person. So there is that. Go ahead and like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. Talk to me in the comments. And don't forget, I have Photoshop tutorial videos every Thursday, so stay tuned for those. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video.